Welcome back to the Star Bazaar, ladies and gentlemen, and to another Battlefront 2 tips and tricks video. This one is all about the more advanced stuff in lightsaber combat, the moves and tips that the so-called pros know and aren't too keen on sharing. These are the kinds of tips that take either a little bit more skill to pull off, or simply take a little bit of knowledge of how the game behaves. I'm not exactly a pro, but I'm decent enough, and these tips have helped me out a lot. For this video, I'll just be listing off a few tips and then going into detail on each one. So, if you're ready to step your saber game up to the next level, let's check it out. Also, subscribe if you're new. Starting off with tip number 1, and this is about to be a bit educational. I know you've experienced it, where you're holding your block up, not dropping it at all, but some saber spammer comes up and tears right through your block, doing damage when they shouldn't be. You'll even block a few shots, but you'll still take some damage here and there. This is because of, as far as I can tell, the terrain. It has to do with the map. Check this out. I am not dropping my block here. I am intentionally holding the block down the entire time. What's happening here is every time I step off the rock, the game is automatically dropping my block. That rhymed. This is the reason you take damage when you're blocking. It's because the ground you're on is not completely level, which messes with the hitboxes and in this case drops your block if you step over the wrong terrain element. What I think is happening here is when you step off of a weird terrain element like this, the game thinks your hero is falling. It's the same reason you can't attack or dodge away when you're up against a steep incline. The game does not register you as standing on the ground, so it prevents certain actions, like blocking, since you can't block in midair. Obviously, you're not in midair, but the game can't tell the difference, which is a pretty bad bug, and is the reason that your opponents are able to sneak some shots in where they shouldn't be able to. My tip to counter this is to keep the fighting on as level a surface as possible. If you find yourself getting attacked where the ground is not even, try to move the fight to a more level area of the map. Maps like Naboo Hangar and Starkiller Base in Heroes vs. Villains are awesome for this, since the map is mostly flat. But other maps like Jakku are where this issue pops up a lot, since there are a lot of hills and objects littering the ground, making defensive combat challenging. So just keep that in mind, that stepping on or over an object in the middle of a saber duel could mean losing that fight. On the flip side, you can try to use this to your advantage by trying to back your opponent up onto one of those weird terrain elements so that you can sneak some shots in yourself. It's dirty, but effective. My next tip is to use jump attacks to finish off weakened heroes. These kills are extremely satisfying because they 100% come down to timing. If the timing is off, you'll most likely miss, so the best way to get good is to practice your jump attacks and figure out right when you should strike in midair. I like to time my jump right before my target reaches the peak of their jump, so that way they are coming back down as I am jumping up, and I can hit them on their way back down, like I did to poor Dooku here. Jumping away is a great method of making yourself harder to hit, and to put some distance between yourself and an attacker, but jump attacks are the best way to counter a saber user who jumps away, since again, you can't block in midair, and it leaves them completely vulnerable until they touch the ground again. This is a pretty advanced move that should be used with caution as well, because jump attacks drain twice as much stamina as a standard lightsaber attack, so always keep one eye on the stamina bar to make sure you're not wasting any. Like I did with Yoda here, you want to make sure that you're caught up to your target first, and then you can try to time those jump attacks. Next tip, be deliberate with your moves. Might not sound very advanced, but the fact that most players will rush in there mashing the attack button without a second thought gives playing deliberately an advantage. Every single action you make takes time. Hit the attack button once and your character will take about a second to swing their lightsaber. Hit the dodge and your character will take a moment to dodge. A controlled, deliberate player will almost always outplay somebody who is just mashing the attack button because they understand the timing of each of their moves and they understand attack sequences. Every press of the attack button stacks on a new attack in the sequence, and if you're not locked onto somebody, that will leave you exposed. If you slow down your attack sequencing more, take it one hit at a time, and then see how your opponent responds, you can usually catch them making a mistake and finish them off. One of my personal favorite things to do is to keep one finger on the block button and try an attack or two when I see that my target is open. That way, if my attack misses or gets deflected, I will go right back to the block and be ready to deflect myself. Also, I've lately been really slowing down my attacks in order to let the lock-on take effect. If you're just swinging your lightsaber and your target dodges away, you probably will not be locked onto them anymore. In my lightsaber dueling guide, I mentioned how important understanding spacing and distance is, and that is very true here. If you try to hit your target and they dodge, give them a half second to finish their dodge, keeping them in lock-on range, then try another attack. They can only dodge it twice before you catch up to them, so as long as you're not spamming and you're timing each hit well and you stay in range, your lock-on should work every time. This kind of goes hand in hand with my next tip, which is playing patiently. Playing patiently extends to beyond attacks though. It's also slowing down and paying attention to your health and stamina. When you've taken a decent chunk of damage, it really does not hurt to disengage and hide for a moment to get that health back. You're no good if you're dead, so keeping your health up should be a huge priority no matter what, and that comes with being patient and paying attention. If you've taken a good chunk of damage, get some cover and keep the block up until your health comes back. Likewise, if you're out of stamina during a duel, dodge around your opponent or jump away until it starts to come back, then re-engage. Like I said before, most players will just have attacking on their mind. They'll come in hot spamming that attack button, but you're better than that. You're patient, and that's why you'll win. Tip number 4. We went over jump attacks to finish off weakened heroes. Now let's go over jump attacks in attack sequences. Ever since the knockback stagger effect for blocking a lightsaber was removed, jump attacks are a much more viable way of damaging your opponent now. One of my favorite things to do when on the offensive is to jump right at my target and do a jump attack, then mid-air, I'll turn my camera 180 so that when I land, I'm facing behind my target and I can then follow up with another attack. The jump attack will do good damage if it connects, and even if it misses, the fact that I land behind my target gets me a free shot right afterwards anyway. Once again though, I'm being deliberate and only doing one attack after I land. The reason for this is because I know my target will try to dodge away after they get hit. If they dodge and I try to follow up with another attack, it might miss and leave me open, letting them counterattack. So after my attack, I'll either go right back to my block, or I'll try to read which way they're going to dodge, and try to dodge with them so that I'm still in range. It's very satisfying to read a dodge successfully and keep on your target, because first of all, it makes your target panic, and second, it shows that you're able to predict moves and react accordingly. So try the jump attack next time you engage a lightsaber hero. It's got many uses, including the fact the animation time is shorter, so you're not as exposed while attacking. The last tip for the video is everyone's favorite P word, practice. The longer you spend trying out different things with the lightsaber heroes, the more new things you'll learn about them. I figured out the terrain dropping your block glitch during a match of HVV, where I accidentally stepped on a rock and realized that it was what was causing my block to drop. I got the hang of hitting a mid-air target by trying jump attacks on a jumping hero over and over and over again until I figured out the timing. I figured out how to read and predict my opponent by thinking about what I would do if I were in that situation, and it took getting my ass handed to me on a silver platter multiple times before I figured out slowing down and playing patiently is the way to go. This all took time and practice. It didn't come overnight. So if you're trying any of these tips and they're just not working out for you, don't give up. Try another game, or take a break and come back to it. Battlefront 2 is unique in that no two encounters will ever be the same, so the best we can do is acquire the knowledge of how to win and try to put it into practice. But that's honestly all I got for right now. I know there are a bunch of other tips I can give, and if this video receives well, I'll definitely be making more of these in a type of video series. So if you have any tips of your own, drop them in a comment, and I just might feature them in the next episode. But with that, that's going to do it from me. If you found these tips useful and you liked the video, you know what to do with that thumbs up button, and consider subscribing if you're new. I appreciate you all stopping by the bazaar. This has been your boy, Turkish Delight, and I'll see you all out on the battlefront. Peace!